episode 78 with Truth Be Told podcast. I'm your host, Britt, and today we have a good one for you. I have Miss Yani Hasty in the building. We are talking about I Am Worthy. I changed the title. How are you doing
Okay.
today, Yanni?
I am worthy. I am worthy. That's right.
I thought it would be a really good topic. You know, it's Women's International Month. I think that all women should feel celebrated, whether they're taking a rest, whether they're running errands, whether their hair is all over their head, even though they're stumbling through whatever they're stumbling through, they're still worthy.
Amen. Yes, that is so
Yay!
true. Yes.
But before I get into the topic, Yanni, I do want to let everybody know if they're new to this channel, please like, share, subscribe. I am about to do a makeup. I'm gonna a makeover. I'm going to just upgrade. I know it's time for me to put more thought into it. You know when you really want to work something or you're passionate about something, you'll put the quality into it, I believe.
Yes.
And so now that I'm learning a little bit more, I think that's the next route that I need to go. And so, if you're new to this channel, please like, share, and subscribe to this channel. And please, we're on YouTube, we're on Apple, we're on Spotify, and I'm on iHeartRadio as well. Yay!
Wow. Wow. Big things, big things.
Big things and big things to all of us. But before we even go into this topic, Yanni, let's talk about you. Y'all, I love Yanni. For one, Yanni came to visit me. I think it's been about a year now.
Yes.
Yeah, since I've moved to Texas, I had to let my mama know. I was like, one of my POTR sisters came to visit me, and she was like, "What's POTR? What does that stand for?" And I had to tell her, and she was just like, "That's the group that you say you get up every morning with and pray and worship and decree and declare your affirmations." I'm like, "Yeah." She was just so shocked. She wasn't shocked, but she was just proud. I think she was more proud. And I was
Oh.
like, Mama, I was like, Yanni made my day. Like, you made my day, like my whole weekend, like, because you were like one of the first people to come see me. So thank you.
Oh, my pleasure. Yeah, I was like, now I got Brit in Texas. My daughter was moving to Texas for the summer for an internship for work. And I was like, I got to stop in Houston. I got to. I got to. So we made it happen. It was so wonderful.
You're awesome. And that's what I love about you. When I say that you are really living, a lot of people can't say that. You know, we get up every morning and we say these affirmations, but we have to put the work behind it. And that's why I love that you are just, adventurous, you and your husband and your family, and you guys will just go. It's just like the spirit of the moment. I think that's what life is all about.
I'm very, most of my life has been probably a little bit too adventurous. I've been kind of definitely the kind of person that I would say, "Hey, let's go climb a mountain," and I would. I'm like, "Okay." My favorite thing to tell my husband is like, he's like, "Hey, I let's go walk around the trash dump." I'm like, "Okay." I'd
Right.
be okay with I like doing stuff. I like being out. Not to get like I do love being home. I love my chill time and just like my lazy time. But I think most of all, I do like being active and doing things. And honestly, I think that's what my husband and I have been married. I've been married. This is my third husband.
Yeah.
So it's not like I'm new to this, and I'm his second wife. And when I tell you that God orchestrated our relationship, I can't even, that would take another 2 days for me to explain how God orchestrated us to come together. And we really mix well. We've had our hardships and our issues because everybody comes with their own baggage.
Right.
And he comes with his, I come with mine. And we kind of were able to work with each other's issues, but we do love being active and busy and doing things. Um, so I got to tell you, I have never been. I've never felt so happy to be somebody's wife than Mr. AJ Hasty's wife. It has
Oh.
been, it's my pleasure to be his wife. It really, really is. And he'll say the same thing about being my husband, you know, because he knows he was like, somebody said he never heard the phrase ride or die, and he was at a car deal, and the guy he was selling a car to at the time was saying his wife was his ride or die, and he looked at him and he goes, my wife is a ride or die,
You
and
definitely
I
are.
am. Yeah.
You are. Yeah, you are. I think
And
that's why I love you so much, because your spirit, it resonates with me. So you say that you and AJ, you said this is your third marriage, but it's just it's a blessing that you're walking through your truth. I love how you tell us adventures about your daughters, about your stepson AJ, your bonus son,
my bonus son.
DJ. Your
Yes,
bonus
yes.
son. I hate step. I don't know why.
No,
I
you're
think
right.
because I had a stepmom, and she literally was a stepmom. And
Oh,
so I have a bonus baby, so I always try to incorporate her. I try to incorporate her in things that we're doing, because I was one, so I know how it feels to go to daddy's house,
yeah.
and I was a daddy's girl. And so that was another reason why I could relate so much to your babies, your girls, Natalie and Maribel, because, I lost my dad around their ages. And when you have a strong father figure in your life, regardless of what happened, with mom and dad, those morals, those traits, all of that will continue to carry with them as they grow, as they get
Yeah.
married, as they have their babies. You know, I'm so excited for you. How do you feel to be a grandpa?
I'm so excited. So Natalie shared with us a couple weeks ago that she's pregnant.
Mhm.
And a baby is a blessing from God. I don't care how they come. I
Mhm.
don't care. And so she and her boyfriend, um, and they're just the cutest couple. I gotta share with you the photo I got this morning. They're at Angel's aunt's house in the Georgia mountains this weekend, and
Ah.
they went on a little hike and they found this beautiful waterfall and they took the cutest picture. And I just keep seeing God in their lives. And
Mhm.
my daughter Natalie is not a believer, and I think Angel might be because he has a tattoo of Proverbs on his chest. So I'm
Okay.
like, well, you got God's word written on your skin, so I don't know, but I see
Right.
how God even orchestrated for them to come together at a time where Natalie really needed somebody um, to really understand the loss of her father, and she needed and Angels really helped her with that. So I really love their relationship, and sometimes God works in mysterious ways. So whether they
Yes.
get married or they don't get married, it doesn't matter. I love their love. Their love is beautiful, and they're pregnant, so I get to be a grandma, and I'm
I,
super excited.
I just want to, and that's what I love about you. Like, you support your babies, your family. You're very family oriented. Uh, Believer of God. I love how you share how your kids believe in God and how they don't believe in God, or whatever. Not necessarily not believing in God, but their walk is different because
Yeah,
this is 2024. Like, I love that we should be able to come together and not criticize somebody, because all of us, like, I was going to name this title even though we stumble, because we all stumble,
yeah,
regardless if you're a like a saint, a Christian, and I'm not saying that we aren't Christians. I'm just saying that
right.
sometimes Christians in the church, like, of the church, they make it
Yeah,
hard for people that are actually in transition,
yeah,
trying to figure out their belief, their faith, and judging them, when
yeah.
clearly in the Bible it tells us not to be, not to judge.
And Jesus
And
came. The funny thing is that the most of the time that Jesus was here, he spent it with people that were considered the low of the low. He
Yes.
spent his time, the majority of his time, with the sinners, the prostitutes, the tax collectors, the leopards. He's like, I came for them. I didn't come for the healed. I come for the ones that need healing. And
Mhm.
so if we're really trying to walk up the path that Christ walked, we need to be looking at everyone the way God looks at everyone with utmost
Yes.
love. I don't care who you are, what you do. I love you, and I'm going to try to do the best that I can
Right.
to show you that respect and love, because it's not for me to judge. That's up to you and God. I'm just here to be fun, loving, and embrace you and do what I can.
I love, and that's what I love about you, Yanni. It shows through your spirit. We definitely, I can definitely sense that about you when I met you, when I'm with you every, every morning, listening to the different affirmations, hearing like your real life stories. At the beginning, when I first got on the Plan of the Righteous calls in the morning, I would really be scared to say anything. I still try to watch what I say, that too. Because I want to be respectful. I
Yeah.
understand we're on a platform, we're serving God. And so what I loved about you is that you just showed your authentic self. Can you tell us a little bit more about how did you start believing in God and what made you
Uh,
walk with him?
Well, I mean, I was raised Catholic, so I went through all the Catholic sacraments, except for the sacrament of marriage. So I always had a very deep reverence and love for God. I mean, I went to Catholic boarding school. I even, as a young girl, thought I would wanted to be a nun. I love God and I love Jesus very much. I mean, it was just always been like a very deep rooted thing. And then as I got older and I realized, things happen. Like, we're teenagers, we're young adults, we start doing things that we shouldn't be doing. And then I realized, like, I need a relationship with God, and I started meeting like these non-denominational Christians, and I'm just like, what is that about? And I just understood that, like, I didn't know, so there was a lot about God that I did not know about. I didn't know my Bible. I didn't have a relationship with God. I had religion and I didn't have a relationship. And so that really blossomed. And I got to tell you, is a lot of it was a messianic Jew. So this is a Jewish woman who believed that Jesus was the savior. So she was raised Jewish and then became a Christian. And she's the one that really opened my eyes to what Jesus was about in the Bible. Um, and so that opened up an entire new avenue for me and God. And now I remember I was talking to God like I would talk to God if I'm driving, like he's sitting in the passenger seat. I literally in my mind would think Jesus was here and Peter was in the back and Paul was over here and I'm talking to them. And I do this to this day. I'm walking in my morning walks. I'm at Pilates and I'm like, all right, Jesus, you're going to have to help me do this plank for another 5 seconds. Come on, Jesus, you're going to have to help me. And I really love how, to me, Jesus is such a good friend that I can talk to, and I don't look like I'm crazy talking to myself.
But I love how you show and you tell the people that it's just your relationship with
Yes.
God. Like
Yeah.
you've always been into, the church religion, through Catholic, learning what that means to be a Catholic woman growing up within your family. But when you grow up within yourself and you learn God for you, it's just a
Yeah.
different way. It
Yeah.
makes you appreciate things, the small things that we
Yeah.
take for granted every
Yeah.
day.
Yeah.
And the reason why I was gonna name this, though I stumble or somewhere along those lines, because I feel like we all are struggling with something or with someone, every day. I think it's a
Hmm.
constant battle that a lot of people really don't want to address. Like, we want to get up
Hmm.
here and say, "Oh, I'm just I'm just gonna get up here and say my affirmations, and I feel better and go about my day. And it's really deeper than that.
Hmm.
It's really a lifestyle. It's really a relationship with God, like having something higher than yourself. But as you've walked along with God, how have you learned humility?
Oh God. Well, God has a way of showing you humility. And I think right now, the biggest humility I've learned was in my marriage. And actually, and this is going to be a word that a lot of women don't want to hear, you must submit to your husband. And it's not a word that a lot of women want to hear nowadays because we're all, oh, we're powerful. You cannot pick and choose what you want to believe in the Bible. And it
Right.
very clearly states submit to your husband. But you have to have a husband worthy of submitting to. Okay?
Oh.
You can't just submit to somebody who is not a Christian, who is not a God fearing man.
Right.
And when God put my husband is a tough cookie. He's not a walk in the park, but he is a God fearing man. And when I tell you, God gave me the one man in the entire world that would never cheat on me, and I could say that with all certainty in my life, and which was a big, big problem for me. And I was like, oh God. And he's like, all right, this is I gave you the one, and he's a good provider. He's a good husband. He's been a good father figure to my daughters. He's an amazing father to his son. This man is just a good family man, but he also has his issues. I'm like, okay, made me realize I had to give him a strong woman, and you're a strong woman. And that's when I learned my humility. And it's like, all right, God, I have to, for the first time in my life, put somebody else but besides myself first. And it's
Mhm.
not about because we live in a culture where it's me, me, me. I need to be happy. I need to do what makes me feel good.
Right.
Not necessarily. Not
Right.
necessarily. And
Right.
now, unless you're in an abusive relationship, which is not, I do not condone, and neither does God or anything like that. But otherwise, you have to look very carefully at yourself and go, no, you need to go to God. And I have to really thank Cynthia, our leader of the Plans of the Righteous. When I would come to her and she says, Yanni, you need to pray about this. You chose to be in this marriage, and that was a choice. I could have
Right.
said no, and I didn't.
Right.
And I was like, nope, I have to submit to God. And let me tell you something, that humility, because
Hmm.
it takes humility to go, all right, God, I'm going to do it your way. And really, you're submitting to God by submitting to your husband. And
Oh,
don't think
okay.
that husbands have it easy.
Right.
Their job in the Bible, they
Hmm.
have to be like Christ. They're supposed to die like Christ died for their families. Their responsibility is 10 times bigger than what we got to do. 10 times.
Right.
So, what he has to answer to God is way more than what I have to do. And that's all God needs us to do is for us to do our part so that he can do his. And then I promise you, it never fails. You do it the God's way, and it works out. It really, really does. It really does.
I I love you saying that because you hit it on the nail. Like you said, this is International Women's Month, and like you said, we are all worthy. Rah rah rah, women, women, we rule the world. We do.
We
But
do. We do.
when it comes to being married and being with your godly fear, the person that God sent to you, we do have to submit. What does that mean? Can you tell me the definition of submit?
Well, I mean, I don't know what the actual like Webster dictionary submit means, but to
No, but your
me,
definition. Yeah.
my definition would be kind of like the other day, it was raining. I love to walk in the morning. 9 out of 10 times, I have rain gear. I'll put on my raincoat, my rain pants, and I'll walk. But it was lightning, and my husband called me and he's like, "I really don't want you to walk in the lightning." I said, "Well, what does that mean? You don't want me to, but I can." And I'm like, "You're gonna have to be very clear." And he's like, "No, you're not. You're not gonna walk in the lightning." And I was like, "All right." So I got on my treadmill at home. you know. I still got my workout in, but
Right.
those are the kinds of things like maybe could I have walked, but he really didn't want me to.
Hmm.
So it's like, do I, and the same, but the funny thing is that when you submit to your husband, he kind of gives you the same respect in return. So when I ask him, hey, I really don't want you to do X, Y, and Z, he'll be like, all right, I'm not going to do that. You know,
Right.
so when you're with a godly man and you submit, he gives you that respect in return. And that's what the difference is. You
I
have
love
to
that.
be you have to be with someone who's going to respect you.
Hmm.
And let me tell you something, my husband is a big uh proponent of women. He was raised pretty much by a single mom. His mom had a rough life. His father cheated on their marriage, and what he saw that happen in their family dynamic, and what his mom had to do to he had two older sisters, but they were already grown. So it was him and his little brother, and his mom, and what his mom had to do, and move them down to Florida from Indiana, do it all on her own. He knows what it takes to be a strong woman, and he gives every woman the respect that they deserve because he's seen his own mom do it. And so
Oh
he
man.
knows what it takes to be a strong woman, and he absolutely respects that. And so he's not like a chauvinistic pig or anything like that. He needed to have a strong woman in his life to be able to support him. And I mean, the saying that behind every successful strong man is a strong woman is absolutely 100% true. He could
Of
not
course.
do what he does if it wasn't for me to,
Right.
have his back, to be there to, like, I got you. He wanted to quit his job, and I'm like, I got you. I
Hmm.
need you to, and he still is able to provide, so it's like, honey, we got this. I need you happy, and you want me happy, and we can be
Right.
happy together and support each other.
I knew you were going to go there. That's why I wanted you to tell me your definition of submit. You are always talking about AJ and how much you love AJ, and I love that.
Mm,
And
mm,
so women need to hear that. Like you said, I know it's not one of the biggest topics of submitting to your husband, but even though you're stumbling in life, it's learning that humility within your marriage for it to grow. It's
yeah,
like you told me before, it's learning when to say stuff and when not to say
yeah,
stuff. I'm learning that
yeah,
a lot in my marriage. Not even just in my marriage, just within my personal development within itself.
yeah,
Um I'm one of those ones, I'm very outspoken.
yeah,
Very. So that's why I'm like, it's sometimes it's so hard to bite my tongue because it's like, yeah, I believe that, but then no, I don't really believe that. And so, but it makes you grow. It makes you grow. Like you said, it shows you humility. And that's why I wanted to transition into saying I am worthy,
mm-hmm.
because as you're stumbling through life, and like you said, the peaks and the valley comes, what you might feel is something as like something that's supposed to destroy you is actually your blessing.
Yes.
I
Oh
believe
God,
that.
yes. Oh God, yes. When I tell you, my husband has been such a blessing. So when we first met, he kind of needed me than more than I needed me. I needed
Mhm,
him.
mhm.
His proposal was, "Can you marry me so I don't lose my son?" That was my proposal, and my answer was, "Yes, of
Ah.
course." And a lot of people were like, "Oh my gosh, she just met this guy. I can't believe she's going to marry him." And only one person, and she's a Muslim,
Mhm.
was the one that said, "I've never heard of a better reason to marry someone than for the sake of a child."
Oh,
And it was a
honey.
Muslim woman that I worked with who said that.
Oh.
And when I tell you the next 4 to 5 years, I did a lot for him and his son. So my husband needed someone to pick his son up, to take him here, to take him to baseball, to take him here, to take him to school, and I had the time availability. He didn't because of his job, but I did. But I sowed a seed. I sowed a seed that I didn't know. No way would I have known that in the future My daughter's father would die suddenly at the age of 47, 48. It's been a couple years now that he passed.
Mhm.
And because of that seed I sowed, what I've been able to reap, because my husband has been there for my daughters financially in a way that I could not have foreseen because of what I did for his son. And you have to understand that no good deed goes unrewarded. I don't want to say unpunished. No good deed goes unrewarded in the realm of God. And I did it with every love in my heart, because I'm going to start crying, because I saw this man who loved his son so much and he didn't know what to do. And he didn't want to lose his son and he had nobody to help him. And I knew he loved me. I mean, I knew he loved me, but it wasn't a romantic proposal. It was more of a, oh my God, I need you.
Right.
And how do I say no? I would never say no. If somebody needs me, I want to be there for them. And what he's done for me and my daughters since then, I couldn't even imagine. I can't even imagine what my life would be like if it wasn't for my husband, and he can't imagine what his life would be like without me. And if that's not a testimony to God, I don't know what is. And if this doesn't convince anyone that God isn't alive, come see me so that
Yes.
I could tell you the whole story, because I wrote a prayer. God, if this is the man you want me to be with, make it abundantly clear. And he did. He did.
I'm just speechless, Yanni, because like I said, you're living through, you're stumbling through, but you know your worth. And that's what I'm getting out of everything that you're saying. Like, even though you've been through, this is your third marriage, and you sowed that seed with AJ, knowing that through God that everything was going to be okay,
Yeah.
and it has blossomed into more. Like, he's laughing. God, you probably said something, and God 10 times what you said, and he's still unfolding what you put what
Oh,
that seed is. And
let me
so
tell
that's
you.
why whenever you're talking and you're being so authentically you, a lot of people don't do that anymore. A lot of people are thinking that they have to show up and be like this polished version of themselves. Or like today, I preach it, but in my head, I was like, oh my gosh, Yanni, when I told you I was getting ready for Dubai, I wasn't playing. You see my hair.
I'm so jealous. I want to go so bad. I want to go so bad.
So I'm like, oh my gosh. And then I started laughing and I'm like, I preach this all the time. Like, why am I tripping? And this is Yanni. Let me just get on here and just put it up and call it a day. But I just love how I love your love for God. I love it
And,
speaks
and
through
don't get me
you.
wrong, it hasn't been easy. AJ and I are, both of us are A-type personalities. So it has taken sometimes me to, and that's where the humility comes in.
Right.
And
Right.
I got to give it again to Cynthia. Cynthia has been my absolute rock. When it comes to Yanni, you need to be quiet. You need to
Yeah.
sit down somewhere and, be quiet. And I have learned to tame my tongue massively. And not everything needs to be said. And sometimes I
Right.
just have to sit there, be quiet, and
Right.
know, and I've said this to him a couple of times when, because my husband is tough. He's very
Mhm.
tough. And I'll say to him, I go, you know that when you're mean to me, God is mean to you, right? And then I'll say things like, "Don't make me go tell my daddy on you." And he knows that I'm gonna go. I'm gonna tell God on you. Don't get me get on these knees and tell God on you.
Right.
And like, like if you're nice to me, God is nicer to you.
Right.
And
I,
it's
I
only
love it.
and honestly, it's only because he does have a lot of trauma that I've uncovered. He's men are funny, man. Men are funny.
They
They
are.
have trauma that
They
they
do.
don't necessarily want to talk about because they're men, right? They don't
Right.
want to be like, but he has a lot of traumatic experiences that I've had to go, okay, I understand. And even though I'm nowhere near a therapist, I'm like an accountant by trade, but I
Mhm.
have mental health issues myself. And
Right.
I've been in therapy myself. And I'm like, okay, I need to approach you like someone who has a little bit of PTSD and a little bit of
Right.
traumatic experiences. So I need to
Right.
come to you in a different way. And I had to learn that for myself with him. But again, that's where the humility that you care enough about somebody to do that, to
Oh
really,
gosh.
how are you going to approach someone that you really do love? And my daughters, I've had to do that with them, with the loss of their dad and with their own issues. And it's not all about you. Dr.
No.
Phil lied. It's not
No.
all, or he it's not all about you. It's not.
I
So
think you
get
said that
off.
one day. I heard you
Yeah.
say that one day in the morning, and I really was laughing because my mom used to say that to me all the time. Now I'm saying that to my daughter Layla because she's driving me crazy. Like I'm like, it's not about I since you have been here, which is about to be 17 years, it has been all about you.
Right.
Like it's
Right.
it's not all about you no more. Like I'm
Right.
sorry.
Exactly. 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 Yeah. Yeah.
And
And
I
so
know
these kids,
that, and that's right. And what I do love, and back to what you were saying about knowing through, your walk with God and learning through humility, what your self-worth what is. I know we're going over time, but before I let you go, can you tell people what is the difference that you've learned along the way? Because the reason why I named this I am worthy, to be honest with you, when I'm not at work or not doing something for God or just walking or trying to be outside. I'm being better about being outside, Yanni. When I say outside, I mean, like outside.
well, you in Texas, honey. That's a different kind of heat. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I've been there. That's a different kind of heat. I don't know. I got to give it to you. I got to give it to
Yeah, I
you.
love it. I love it. It's different. I come from a little country town. So when I came here, I mean, yeah, we have major cities around where I'm from. Charlotte, North Carolina is it's not small, but it's not Texas. And so it's not
Right.
Houston. And so it was like when I got here, I was like, I need to, and I'm still enjoying it, but I needed to remember why I came here. And yes, to be outside, but also to get a church home. I got a church home now. I'm trying to get God to, and I'm stretching because what I'm learning through the pastor is like, okay, you have to stretch, to worship, and we're in worship season. And that's why I wanted to get on here and let you talk about how worthy you still are through everything that you go through, when things hit you. Because, like, even though we get up and we have all this relationship with God, you're going to stumble. Like,
So I still have my demons. I have an
yeah.
issue with sometimes with profanity.
Mhm.
I have issues sometimes with drinking too much. I'm
Mhm.
letting it all out. I'm not going to
Mhm.
lie.
Mhm.
So I have to be very careful. Also, sometimes I also had a big love for scary movies. And believe it or not, that is also a window for the demonic. So
Demons.
I had to close that. I can't watch those kinds of movies, although I love them, and I can't because I started noticing changes in me when I did. So for like the Lent season, I decided to
Mhm.
give up secular music, and it has been
Okay.
like life changing. It altered so much. So when I'm walking and I'm in my car, all I'm listening to are Christian music,
Right.
and it's amazing to disconnect. And it's funny because like now that like if I'm at a Pilates class and they're playing some sort of music and I listen to the music, it hits my soul differently. And I
Mhm.
actually end up tuning it out because I don't want
Mhm.
to hear that. I don't, and so I start singing a song in my head that's a Christian song.
Mhm.
Even if all I say is there's power in the name of Jesus.
Mhm.
I don't need to be listening to a lot of what's out there because the devil's in all that. He uses
Yes.
all that. He
You're
really
right, Yanni.
does. So
Mhm.
you have to be, I mean, be of this world, but not a part of
Part
it.
of this
So you have got to
world.
be in it, but
Mhm.
not a part of it. So once you do these little fasts and you realize, okay, I understand the difference. And then when I go back into the real world, I'll be able to be discerning about, okay, what's going on, what's happening. Um, but in general, I got to tell you, the more you walk with God and you really
Mhm.
really do put in the time, it becomes easier and easier.
You're right.
It's not hard, and you actually are happier. You're just a happier person.
I think that was one of the biggest things that I took away from you guys, because I've been struggling ever since I've really tried to, okay, this is a relationship with God. So as I'm stumbling and learning different things about myself and within my marriage, and a lot that you said about holding my tongue, I laugh when you say that, because I'm like, okay, that my mom, that's me. Like I can hear Miss Cynthia telling me that. Like I was like, maybe she just doesn't tell me that because I'm not close to her. I was like, but if I
No.
was because my mouth, like, is, I said, I haven't get, I don't think I've shown her my mouth. Like, yeah, I think I'm still kind of in the corner, like, okay, I'm just starting to learn you guys a lot more. So it's just exciting to see. But I just want to thank you, Yanni. I do. I want to thank you for coming on my
My
platform today,
pleasure.
letting women know how worthy they are, even though they stumble. Is there anything that you would like to share, if you could, with the 14-year-old Yanni?
Oh my God, 14-year-old Yani?
If there was some type of
Woo!
advice that you could give her today about
I
being
would
worthy, what
tell
would you say?
about being worthy. Don't trust your feelings. Don't trust your heart. Your heart and your feelings will lie to you. Men are liars. Sex does not
Yes.
equate love. Sex does not equate love. And I did not learn that for a very long time. A very long time. And so, because I got daddy issues, that's a whole nother story. Um,
Right.
and I did not have a father really. So, there's a lot I would tell, but that I am worthy of love. I am worthy of a man that respects me, honors me, um, who sees me as a treasure. And my husband sees me as a treasure. And it took a long time for me to say, hey, I got a lot to bring to the table, man. So you
Hmm.
got to be careful with me,
Right.
you know?
Right.
So, and God was just so gracious to finally have us hook up together. Um, I mean, literally, we met online on Plenty of Fish within 4 hours. Within 4 hours of me starting an all of my online dating profile, within 4 hours I met him, and that night we went out for coffee, and
Right.
it's never a year to the day we got married.
Uh, it was that,
It
it was
was
already written. See?
And we sat at the Starbucks at like 8:30 at night across the table from each other, and he's like, I never want to get married again. And I go, neither do I. I'm like, I want to be in a I'm like, I'm a Christian, but my gosh, I've already been married twice. And he's like, I've been
Right.
married once and it was really, really bad. And we're like, okay, we're gonna be in a monogamous relationship or we're not gonna get married. I promise you, in heaven there was an uproar of laughter, because God was like, watch what I do. And all the angels were like, ooh, 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 ooh. Because we sat there swearing to each other we weren't going to get remarried. And here we were a year to the day getting married again. It was just, man, listen,
I love
I don't
it.
even, I can't even, and I don't know if that could be anybody's story, but it was my story. And I just got to
Right.
say, whatever God is going to do for you in your life is going to be so miraculous. It'll be just your story and your story alone, and nobody else can have it. And
Oh,
that's the beauty of God. He'll
yes.
make it just special for you because He loves you so much. That'll be just for you. And that's my
I
story.
I love it. You gave me butterflies. I know you're talking to them, but I felt that too.
Good, good. I'm glad. I'm
I
glad.
needed that.
I'm glad.
Yeah, I needed to hear that. So I do. I want to thank you so much for coming on the show today, guys. This is Yani Hasty. We are signing out with episode number 78 with Truth Be Told podcast. I am worthy. You guys have a
Love
good
you.
evening.
Mwah, mwah,
Thank
mwah.
you, Yani.
Thank you. Love you. Bye.
Love you.